Over the last few months, I have fished some of the most beautiful and unique fisheries in the Midwest. Everything from catching bass out of flooded houses to catching 12 muskie in one day with Andy Yak Angler. I have fished some incredible fisheries, but to be completely honest with you guys, I've just missed coming out to some small local ponds, throwing around some lures, keeping it simple, and just having a good time. So today, we're going to fish some small ponds in my local area. We're going to throw around some crazy big lures, and we're going to see if we can't find some giant fish out of these small ponds. It's a beautiful day to do some fishing. Let's get rigged up, let's tie on some big baits, and let's catch some fish. We're going to start out at this pond just tossing around the 8-inch bass Swimbait. Since I'm pretty sure the only fish in this pond is bass and pike, I'm going to have to guess they eat each other. Just like that guy. See if I can pull him out of those weeds there. First fish of the day. It doesn't look like a bad one. Absolutely choked that Swimbait. Gorgeous, chunky largemouth bass. To start it off at this pond, I'm gonna pop the hook out and send her right on her way. Had to get a little dirty to make sure I got that fish safely back in the water. But you gotta do what you gotta do to take care of these fish. First cast at this pond, and we've already caught a big fish. I'm gonna get right back out there. I'm gonna keep on casting and see what I catch next. If the first fish was that size, I'd say there's a pretty good chance there's some giants in here. I'm just slow rolling this Swimbait. You can work it under the surface, but I'm pretty sure these fish are aggressive enough. They're just gonna pop it right off the top. Beautiful action on this Swimbait. If there is anything absolutely giant in here, they are gonna love this. A lot of bass this time of day are all just kind of hiding inside these weeds here, so I'm just going to keep making my way all the way down this shoreline, casting at the edge of the weeds and just slowly bringing this Swimbait right over across the top of them. Should be able to get all these bass to come out of these weeds and strike. Seems like the wind is slowly starting to pick up a little bit. I don't think it's going to get too bad out here, but honestly, if anything, a little extra wind might just get these fish fired up a little bit. Try not to drag him onto the shore. Not a giant, but it's still a nice fish on the Swimbait. Beautiful 2.5, 3-pound largemouth bass. I'm gonna send her right back. Gonna have to walk all the way back down in this water for it too. There you go, buddy. And she's off. I've made it down to the end of the shoreline here, and throughout this whole entire area, surprisingly, never really saw much action, but that's alright. We finally got another fish to eat back in this corner, and I think it's about time we switch to a little different of a lure and see if maybe these fish just wanted something a little bit bigger. They liked eating that 8-inch swimbait right off the surface, so I don't think they're going to have any problem eating this 13-inch alligator lure. I'm going to make some casts, throw this thing around for a while, and see if there's any big bass in here who are hungry for the gator. It looks absolutely beautiful. Kind of like a topwater snake, slow side to side wobbling action. I got a good feeling the bass in here are gonna absolutely love this. Nice bass too. What a great way to start it off with the alligator. Giant Minnesota largemouth bass on such a cool and unique lure. Let's send this guy right back in the water and make sure she swims off safe and sound. And there she goes. I mean, how cool was that? Throwing around a 13-inch lure, and we got a giant bass to eat it. Sometimes just throwing a lure fish have never seen before can be the ticket. I probably cast that 8-inch swimbait at least 20 or 25 times in that exact spot. Never got a fish to look at it. Switched up to a bigger and unique lure that I know is a fact these fish have never seen. Sure enough, 5 or 10 casts later, we got one to eat it. Let's keep on throwing this thing around and see what we catch next. The wind is picking up quite a bit down in this corner, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to walk on down to the other side of this pond where it's a little bit more wind blocked, and I'm going to do some fishing down there. The only thing about that side is you can't actually access it from shore, so I'm going to throw a super small john boat in down in that cove and just paddle around all that wind-blocked area and see if I can't find some big bass that want the gator down there. I'm going to head on down, throw the john boat in the water, and see if I can't find some hungry fish. I've made it down to the end of the pond here, and this whole entire wind-blocked area looks absolutely beautiful. Whole lot of structure for these big bass to hide in. We've got a couple hours until it gets dark, so we'll finish off the night throwing around the alligator and see if we can't find some big bass over here. I think my biggest problem I'm gonna have here is trying to get a hook set while in this tiny john boat. This isn't the most stable thing to be standing in. Probably won't be able to get a hook set at all. I'm just gonna have to start reeling. As much as I want to land a fish, I'd like to not flip this thing today. I'd say we've got a pretty good chance of finding some giant bass over here. This whole area just looks fishy. Wasn't sure he even had it for a second there. Look at the other one following him out. There's two of them here. I'm gonna try to safely land this guy. He's barely hooked. That is fish number 2 on the alligator. Another beautiful fish, not as big as that first one, but it's still a bass on a 13-inch lure, and I will take it. See you later, buddy. It's always fun getting them on big baits. Even when they're not giant, they are still always a blast. I'm gonna throw this thing right back out there and catch another one. I am just in love with the action of this lure. The side-to-side wiggle action just looks so good. It is truly a work of art, hand-carved out of wood, hand-painted, and just a beauty. I am running this on a fairly heavy setup, just because I don't want any chances of losing this custom lure. I've got a steel musky leader, 60-pound braided line, St. Croix Legend Tournament pike rod, and the PC Fun musky bait casting reel. Great setup for throwing some big lures. You can use it for smaller stuff, but if I'm going to throw something less than 10 inches, I'll usually just throw it on heavy bass gear. As always, I'll have everything you see in today's video linked in the description below if you guys want to check it all out. And if you do want to pick up one of these bait casting reels, please use code SPELTS15 if you want to save 15% on your order. I'm going to keep on making my way all the way down this shoreline here and see if I can get some big bass to come out of this structure. Just missed it. Went up, hit the tail, but didn't get any of the hooks. That fish was probably close to 5 pounds. Nice chunky bass. Saw me and got spooked, sadly. I might end up just sitting down. That's the 3rd or 4th fish I've seen that got spooked. And I almost wonder if sitting down might be the ticket. They won't see me, and I won't be as worried about falling over in this thing. I feel like if I lean too far, it is just going to go under. If you can't tell, the whole entire back end of this John boat is up. Pretty sure this is designed for 2 people, but with just me, it's definitely not as stable. I'm gonna see if I can't sneak up on any of these fish here. I'm gonna try not to spook them. If I'm gonna catch an absolute giant of a bass, anytime, I would say within the next hour is gonna be that time. Sun's going down, it's starting to get calm out here. Should be the perfect spot and the perfect time for some big topwater lures. Just waiting to see one blow up on it right in front of me. I know there's at least a few bass in here who are just crazy big, who should be able to fit this whole thing in their mouth. It's just gotta be right spot at the right time. Gotta bring it right over them. Oh, is that a pike? You had me so excited, buddy. That's still a fish, though. You're gonna be careful with this guy here. It's a nice pike. Not a bass, but it's still a beautiful pike on the alligator. Can't complain with that. I'd say 31, 32-inch fish. Just gonna send her right back. And she's off. That is so cool. Was kind of hoping that was a big bass for a little bit there, but I'll take it. Absolutely choked it right in front of the boat. Doesn't really get much better than that. We've got a little less than an hour until that sun is fully down, so we'll keep making our way around this lake. Fish exactly where we started off at this morning. See if there's any more big bass there. I made it down to the complete other side of this pond, and surprisingly, now that it's getting later, the bite hasn't picked up at all. Honestly, I think it actually might have gotten a little bit worse. I've got one bite in the last hour and a half. I haven't really seen too much other fish even following it into the boat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start paddling all the way back up. I'll make a few casts on the way back, see if I can't find at least one more fish, and then we're going to call it a night. I think it is about time to call it a day. The sun is almost fully down, and it has been a very long day of fishing, but overall, came out here, did a little fishing, threw around a crazy giant lure, and ended up catching a giant fish with it. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I had a blast at this small local pond, missed more fish than I can count, but ended up landing a few on both the Swimbait and the alligator lure. And there's not much more I can ask for that. As always, I have a second one of those exact same alligator lures to give away to one of you guys. They are 2 of 2, only 2 ever made, hand carved out of wood, hand painted, and just a beautiful, beautiful work of art. And I'm giving the second one away to one of you guys as a thank you for making it this far into the video. And if you want to win the lure, all you have to do is, of course, like the video and leave a comment down below your favorite body of water type. If you like fishing ponds, lakes, rivers, streams, whatever it is, let me know down in the description and tell me a little bit why, and I promise you I will reply to every single one of your guys' comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll have the guy who made the lures' social media linked down in the description. If you have a crazy lure you want made or you have an idea, hit him up on Instagram and he will make whatever you guys want. He's made a lot of lures for some of my videos before, and as you can tell, the lures catch fish. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys truly mean the world to me. Until I see you guys in the next one, peace out. There we go. Stay down, buddy. This is a huge bass.